The amount of detail on this film is remarkable. You kind of sit there and with the sets and the costume and every character and the whole script, the world that's been created.
Everything in this world is repurposed in some way. That's one of the great design, I think, cues that they had on the film.
Everything should be recognised, but what we hope is that a lot of it is out of context, and that jarring is what basically gives it a new freshness.
One of the big problems with post-apocalyptic movies, the instinct of everybody is to make the world look like a junkyard. And it doesn't stand up to human behavior. Even early man, Paleolithic man, without any resources, can make beautiful paintings, rock art. So that we have the instinct to do something beautiful. And so one of the rules I really had to enforce in all the design was just because it's the wasteland, it doesn't mean that people can't make beautiful things.
One of George's main briefs is surprise me, is, you know, people want to be surprised. They want to be arrested by an image. And so ours has been slightly different. We have to deal using the crayons out of the same box. It basically is the world ended, and what did we do with all the bits that were left over when they finally had themselves dragged across the wasteland?
Everything that we made had to have a history in the sense that the objects would either be repurposed as well as their original function.
And then basically went to scrapyards and scavenged for anything that looks cool that could be used for something. So when they arrived in Namibia, you had all these mega bins full of rubbish, and then every time you had to basically build a new prop, you'd go and scavenge through, and whatever kind of tickled your fancy, that was the item that you're going to use to make your creation.
There's a lot of wacky, if you like, but brilliant images in there, and it's a real world. I mean, it's not a comic book world as such. It's a reality.
I'm holding a steering wheel, one of many, I'd say upwards of 50 that are immediately to my left, on a huge altar. But it goes to express just the level of detail that's gone into it, because this is it's an old phone dial, and the whole thing's been repurposed. Every wheel is like that. There's speedometers and cogs and all sorts of crazy stuff.
When you're trying to create a world that doesn't exist, you have to have some very solid ground rules. Is this too narrow to drive? Does it affect anyone's driving? Do you want any thickness on this thing?
We could.
No matter who you were, whether you're doing props or weapons or vehicles or costumes, we all worked to the same strategies.
Max starts as if he's survived maybe some ghastly war and found his way into the wilderness. This is the Tom Hardy Mad Max costume. It was made by Annalise here in Swakopmund.
That's my jacket. Sure.
We really want to have the old iconic Mad Max jacket and trousers. And then we added the T-shirt, and Tom really liked it. He said it had a medieval feel, like an old tunic.
Max's muzzle is basically made out of a garden fork. The first fitting we had with Tom Hardy, it was very, very uncomfortable, obviously with the real steel version. These tips are very, very close to his eyes, so that's why we've used a very, very soft rubber.
Started off with the iconic Mad Max double-barreled sawn-off shotgun. There's a full-length double-barrel shotgun with the aid of a hacksaw turned into this. It's a normal 12-gauge with a little bit of engraving on it, but close enough that we can get to the original Mad Max shotgun.
We had a lot of communication about the physical appearance. It took so many different shapes over the years, which is a good thing. You know, you almost kind of have to experience all of the wrong things to get to the right thing.
George wanted the female warrior look, but I didn't want it to get, and she didn't want to get what she called Barbarella, and I just thought was, you know, too overtly fashion magazine-y sexy.
We had thought about ways to kind of make her look different than the other women. hair was always this great obstacle that we came across because it was just impossible with my hair to do something that really set a different tone. And I had just done a press tour. I was just so done with hair and makeup. And I just literally just had this moment where I was like, I need to shave my head. We need to shave my head. Like, I can't think about what I'm gonna do with my hair in this movie anymore. I'm gonna be in a desert. I'm a new mother. Let's just shave it and stop talking about it.
Charlize really wanted a little bit of covering. The actual T-shirt, it's a mixture between what you expect, the corset look, all the female warriors, all your comic books, but it isn't, I hope. It's got a little bit more reality.
I had to work with the costume department to kind of integrate the robot arm with the rest of her costume. We've got this one here, which was one of the original, or the final designs, which is made from metal parts. It's like vice grip pieces in it and pieces of spanners. It's got a little bit of weight to it, so it's quite hard to operate or to wear for long periods of time. So then we also had made up a soft version, which is made of leather and rubber castings for some of the stunt work.
The access to driving becomes important. How does a one-armed woman both fight a battle and drive a truck and pilot a story? And so everything needs to be within ergonomic reach and access.
Furiosa, when she starts this movie, has 11 firearms. The main firearm that she uses is the SKS rifle. We've put a wooden block on the front to aid Furiosa to grip with the claw. She's quite well equipped to defend herself and attack anybody else.
You kind of see how this world has developed from those details. It was really fun to watch them and kind of get into it, and it got me very excited about this film.
Slit screams at Nux to fang it. So the gear stick and the brake are redolent of fangs. It's a pair of dentures. Nux's very own personalised steering wheel, which is basically his attempt using a doll's head and some bits and pieces from various salvaged cars to give him his memorial to the Immortan. These are all adornments. They're there to scare the enemy, let them know who you are, what you're thinking, and that you're coming for them.
That's my head!
These are the thunder sticks. You can see that it's been made out of bicycle tire, so it's all recycled equipment. This is kind of similar to human skin, and then you've got the thunder stick head at the end. These are basically made out of normal soft drink cans. They're supposed to be an explosive device that's detonated from the top. Probably the biggest challenge, I'd call it, that we've had on this job is the Max Nux chain. Had it made out of probably about 4 different materials for different applications. Each of these links is molded separately, and so far we have made 81 meters of fake chain, link by link. Basically, this chain does break fairly often. You see what I mean? So this chain has been through a lot of stress.
I'm literally using Max as a lifeline. Tom would go off to look at the monitors, and I'd suddenly see the chain tightening. I'd be like, oh, go, quick, running behind him to make sure they didn't snap his neck back, because it was kind of attached to a muzzle that he wears.
We could ask for anything.
It's very much a world that's built upon forging things with your hand.
I'm working on the guitar for the Doof Man, and I've started to break it down so that it actually works for the show. Bit of fine tuning still.
Coma's guitar is a double-necked flamethrower. It's covered in, bits of car parts and trumpet parts and violin parts.
Recognisable objects, again, the resonator and body is actually a stainless porcelain bedpan.
It's got the Datsun 1600 detailed on it, which is awesome. Pieces out of a trumpet, and you've basically got a flamethrower at the end of the guitar. So you can jam and nuke people at the same time, which is really, really awesome. So Rammstein, watch out. Don't get better than this, eh?
Immortan! Immortan, Joe!
The Immortan. He's a real George inspiration.
Imagine somebody get a riot shield, or one of those bulletproof riot shields, and then mold it. Basically, it's a sort of plexiglass, bulletproof medieval armor with a massive breathing mask.
George wanted to see his rotting skin through. The idea of the carapace was multi-purpose, really, partly to make him look stronger, because it did have the muscles in it, but also because his body was rotting underneath and it had a protective element.
He's got a few medical problems, but I'd rather not talk about them.
The Immortan's mask, made of horse's teeth and so on, also has a bladder at the back which gives him clean, filtered air.
The more, we tried many a tube, but good old Russian gas masks, nothing like them. And again, the skirt is sort of, could be anything. For George, I think it's like religious robes. Someone else said it's almost like crematorium curtains. He's got his guns, he's trying to be, you know, a man with his codpiece.
You look amazing! You look amazing! The whole fucking lot of you! Brilliant!
My terrible fear that he would look comical, I don't think he did. I think he actually looked pretty strange.
Welcome to the interior of the Giga Horse. We built the dashboard onto black cowhide leather and collected pretty much every emblem and badge of vehicle that we thought he had killed, come across, collected, and now owned. Obviously, the steering wheel, if you can afford a skull, you have a skull. The Immortan symbol is hand-beaten into the interior cladding. The Immortan does have a scrubber and breather, so there's also quite a lot of medical equipment built into the car and into the vehicle. And again, this one was more to show bling. He is the Puff Daddy of his time.
Rictus! Take me!
Rictus is really a baby, never really grew up, and has a lot of baby symbols.
I have 3 right here on a codpiece sticking out. It looks like a 3-headed penis. It's unique. It's interesting.
The belt above it, again, it was something George loved, was that stretched baby head. And even his knee pads have baby faces, although they've become quite aged and battered over the months of filming. But it also has a breathing pack, which is, I think, pretty much a work of art. I think when we put it all together, it works.
You find things and you turn them into, you know, other things that you need. And I think that's really, really smart of them to have done that. And also time-consuming, and I would not want to be the one who had to do that.
The people who've worked on them have put an awful lot of effort into the detailing, you know, basically trying to make them as rich an environment as possible. We hope that what we've chosen shows weight and style and history, and we detail it so that it's been fetishized and loved.
And it was something that came quite unconsciously, is that there's a certain rambunctious joy to the post-apocalyptic world. There's a kind of celebratory quality. Here we are in this dark, crazy world, and it's in human nature to bring out a kind of an insane quality in their work. Best described by Nux's line.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!